this message goes out to Miss O'Brien. Honey need for come on down to the island and see we. Well, because all them kind of things we do them there. Okay, so the translation is that all of you need to come on down to the islands to see us, and you will see all of the different things that we do there. Frank said I would like to share some stories with you. I was introduced to the Gullah language 20-some years ago when I arrived on Wadmalaw Island, where Frank is originally from. When I arrived and heard the language, I was fascinated by it. I could not understand how they could live so close to Charleston and have a language of their own that they were able to maintain over centuries. As a result of that, I was determined to learn the language. Frank had a great aunt. She was in her 80s when I met her, and she helped me to learn the language. It took maybe between 5 and 6 years. So the stories I'm going to share with you are stories that were told to me when I conducted an oral history project on Johns and Wadmalaw Island. Now, the first story, like he said, if I don't need to translate in English, then you can say so, but I will. The first story, the first time I tell a story, I'm going to tell it to you in Gullah. So if you don't understand it, don't be concerned. I will go back and translate the story into English. Now, the first story was told to me by a woman we call Miss Flood. Miss Flood was one of the people that were in the oral history project. I didn't interview her because I'd heard she'd had a stroke, and I thought I was being considerate by not asking her to speak. But somehow she didn't see it that way. So she gave me one of those taps on the shoulder and pulled me aside and told me this story. In Gullah, the title of the story is and it goes like this. See, long time ago, the first thing we get up in the morning, and so that thing for the daddy that they're gonna that and say and they're gonna that and say and they're gonna that and say they say want some shaz. But when you look on the vineyard where it sit, it see the house of the ship. And look, you see the good of the ship. You look and see the dirty don't pick that together, it's really one for no I mean I'm gonna judge. And digging it up and say shaz. And digging it up and say shaz. And digging it up and say shaz. They say want some shaz. What all was that thing in the back of the band yet been 2 bucks? That thing been a spawny wing and a front transfer. Trying to think a way to shut that thing up. So the next morning for it to clean, that thing fly up on top the high bus and wait for the hands to come out. When they put it, they did it. Digging it out and say shaz. And digging it out and say shaz. And digging it out and say shaz. They say want some shaz. Or was that thing totally so wrong and say, old hun, I've honey on I honey got no shit. Well, I'll tell you what, honey got no shit. Honey got no shit. In English.
Gullah 101.
No, we needed 102.
The story is called Your Foot Too Crooked. Now you see, long time ago, the rooster was not the first to get up in the mornings. It was the hen. And as soon as her feet hit the dirt, she'd dig in the dirt and say shoes. And dig in the dirt and say shoes. And dig in the dirt and say shoes. She'd say, I want some shoes. Because when she looked around the barnyard, she saw the horse had shoes. She looked at the hooves on the cow, and the cow had shoes. She even looked at the muddy, dirty pig, and the pig had shoes. So she wanted to know why I don't have no shoes. So she dig in the dirt and say shoes, and dig in the dirt and say shoes, and dig in the dirt and say shoes. She'd say, I want some shoes. Well, that old rooster in the back of the barnyard would be so angry. He'd span his wings and prance around, trying to think of a way to shut them up. So the next morning, just before dawn, the rooster got up before the hens and flew on top the highest post and waited for the hens to come out. And like always, as soon as their feet hit the dirt, they dig in the dirt and say shoes, and dig in the dirt and say shoes, and dig in the dirt and say shoes. They'd say, I want some shoes. Well, that old rooster twirled around and said, old hens, if you want to know why you have no shoes, well, I'll tell you why you have no shoes. You have no shoes because your foot too crooked. So from that day until this day, the rooster continues to get up in the mornings trying to convince the hens that the reason they have no shoes is because of the shape of their foot. But of course, to no avail, the hens continue to say, shoes, I want some shoes. But now most Gullah tales will have a moral to it. I'm going to tell you the moral just as it was told to me, but I'm going to preface this by saying, don't shoot the messenger. I'll say the moral goes like this. It says, men. Oh, men. Men. Never, but never try to come between a woman and her shoes.